Hey, I'm John Satriali, Technology Director for the School of Communication, also the person who can help you with this room a little bit. One of the first things you're going to need to know about how to use this room is how to work the lights. Those are over here. Because normally when you come in the room, the lights are off. This is the main lighting panel, and although you probably figure it's easy to use lights, this one has a couple of presets and some intricacies to it that I want to show you. So normally to turn lights off, you would be like in this position here. So what you want to do now is come to the top of the white box and press the big square to get all the lights on. If you came in and the lights were off and you couldn't feel this panel, you can pretty much just touch these two gray light switches and everything comes on. But the more important part is when you do an actual focus group, you're either going to use preset C or right next to it is preset D. D is the darkest and the most stealthy, and C is a little bit brighter for better note taking. So let's take a look in the room. So this is preset C, and you can see the other room, but you also have enough lights to take notes at the chairs and whatnot. But if you don't need that and you want to be a little more stealthy, a little bit harder to see from the other side of the mirror, you go to D, and now it's a lot darker and there's really no chance that they're going to see you through the mirror. All right, but for the rest of this demo, I'm going to put all the lights on so you can see what I'm doing in the room. Okay, so this room basically comes down to two computers, the Presentation Mac and the QuickTime Recording Mac. The first computer, the Presentation Mac, is used to present things to the other room. So you can kind of see through the mirror, there's another big screen in the room. So if you wanted to show people in the focus group room like a PowerPoint, you would just open up PowerPoint, and then you would use this Crestron device over here, wake this up, hit it a couple of times, wake it up, and you go into presentation mode. And the presentation mode lets you control all the different things that you can show on the screen in the other room. The most commonly used buttons on this whole screen are the Mac. We're presenting the Macintosh computer. And the other one is image mute, which if you press image mute and it lights up like that, now look at the TV, it's gone black in the other room. So if you don't want them to see anything, you press image mute. If you want them to see the presentation Macintosh, you press the Mac button. Some of the other stuff you can ignore. Not all of this stuff is here anymore, but actually the DVD player in the room is still here. So if we wanted to show a DVD, we could press DVD, and then the DVD player in the room would be an option. But mostly you're just going to use Mac and image mute. Now, we'll come back to the recording stuff in a moment. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so far we've talked about this Presentation Mac and presenting a PowerPoint, or you could present an Apple Keynote, or you could set up a Skype call and use Skype in the other room. These are all the kind of common things you would do with the Presentation Mac. But the other half of the equation is recording your focus group. So you might be showing them something, but then you have a moderator in the room asking a lot of questions. You need to capture the whole thing, record the whole thing. That's done with this Recording Mac. So let's take a look at this QuickTime Recording Mac, as we call it. The main objective here is to use this program down in the dock called QuickTime. And if for some reason you can't find it in the dock, you can always go up here to the searchlight, spotlight search, and type in QuickTime. But usually it's right here in the dock. So we open up QuickTime, and it's open. Nothing too interesting happens. You have to look up in the corner to even notice that QuickTime opened. But you would do File, New Movie Recording. Okay, so we're going to do a new movie recording because we're recording video. Okay, and then if you're lucky, the screen comes right up and you're in business. But sometimes a different image might come up, or it might be black. I'll give you an example of what it looks like when it's black. Okay. Okay, so if it was black, we have to check a couple of things. So one of the first things I would check is this switcher down here where it says leave on. We definitely would want to make sure that this little green light is on. And now we have some kind of an image, but that's not exactly the camera angle that we normally use. The normal camera angle we use is over here. Under the recording, we press the main camera angle, okay? And now you'll see that you're going to get a much nicer shot. It's through the mirror, and we can see all the participants' faces. Sometimes there's a different angle which looks very similar, and that's actually the Skype camera, the video conferencing camera. It can be deceiving because if somebody leaves this in the wrong position, you may end up with the Skype camera instead of your focus group camera. And I can sort of see that in the background. There's the mirror and a reflection and everything, and there's a keyboard where normally the Skype person would sit and use the Skype. So to switch cameras, you have to be over here on the Crestron, and you have to use the main camera. Okay, so that's most of what you're going to do with this Crestron device. You're going to set up the right camera, and other times you're going to set up the presentation Mac. A couple other features here though in the QuickTime Recorder. Here's the record button, and you see you press it and it changes colors and the numbers move. And the moving numbers are really important because now you know you're recording. You can also see how much memory you're using up. Okay, when you're done, you press stop. Okay, and now I have right in front of me the finished recording. It's untitled, so if I quit it, it's going to ask me to give it a name. Maybe I call it FG1. It's also going to ask me where do you want to save it. Normally, it'll go into the documents folder, so that's fine by me. Okay, and now it's gone. And if I want to find it, I go over to the Macintosh hard drive, and I go into the documents folder, and there it is. Okay, so that's where it ends up. You're going to want to bring a hard drive or a USB stick, or use your box, Emerson, box.emerson.edu, as far as where to put your files when you're done. And they get pretty big if you're recording for an hour or two. So that's where they go, the files, and just make sure you take them off of here. And this machine gets erased every night, so don't leave anything behind. Make sure that you take a copy of your files off of that computer. I think they erase the computers at 2 a.m. every morning, so always be thinking when you leave this room, I better take a copy of my files. Now it's a computer and it can crash, so we have a backup for you. And the backup is this DVD recorder. So what you do is you turn on the DVD recorder, okay, and it takes a second to power up. And then you turn on the TV above it with this end button here, and the red turns to blue. And now what you're hoping for is you're going to see the same image that you saw a minute ago on the QuickTime Recorder. It's up here, but all this stuff here is kind of annoying, so we have to get rid of it. So this is the Panasonic machine. So we find the Panasonic remote, and then we press the return button, aim it down at the DVD recorder, hit return, and then all the stuff goes away from the screen. Okay, and now you're ready to record. What you need is a DVD minus R disc, DVD minus R. You put the DVD minus R disc in here, and then you can hit the record button, and you can hit the stop button. And when you first put the disc in, it's going to tell you if it's 1 hour or 2 hours or 4 hours. The number shows up down here. If you need to change from 1 hour to 2 hours to 4 hours, you're going to use the record mode button. And every time you press this button, it's going to change the duration or the length of how much you can put on the disc. So right when you get started, you have to pick your recording time. Do you want to record for 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours? You do that with this button. It's a tough call because sometimes you think your focus group is only going to be an hour, but then I recommend using the 2 hour mode just in case it goes long. If you know it's going to be really short, half an hour, then you can use the 1 hour mode and it's better quality. So that is your backup plan in addition to your QuickTime Recorder. Okay, now we're also going to need to talk a little bit about the audio, because so far we've talked about setting up the camera and recording the camera to 2 locations, but you have to hear the people in the room too. So here's the mixing board. There's only these 2 microphones that we use, and the little abbreviations there stand for ceiling microphone and one of the ceiling microphones is near to us, and one of the ceiling microphones is far from us. So if you look through the mirror, you can actually kind of see the microphones hanging from the ceiling. They're the little white cables hanging from the ceiling. And the one that's closest to us is called the ceiling microphone near, and the one off in the distance is called the ceiling microphone far. So that'll make more sense when you have people sitting around the table, because if somebody near to us isn't speaking very loudly, then we give them a little bit more microphone. Or conversely, if they're speaking too loudly, we would lower their microphone a little bit. The goal here is to be able to hear everybody in the room and to see these little meters. They should be up at about 0. They should go green, green, green up to 0, but not yellow and red. That's too much. And so you do that just by adjusting these two microphones. If you need more, you push them all the way up, okay? And then you'll see the meters change. Now, you want to see really good, healthy meters, lots of green. But if you don't hear anything, yet you see something, then you have to come up here to the speaker. And it could be a simple matter of the back of the speaker has a switch on it, and it's volume. So I can really crank this up, and I can hear people in the hallway. So what you have to do is a combination of getting this just right and getting your faders just right, okay? It's very important to be able to see these green dots moving up and down. All these other ones we don't need. They all stay down. We just use these two. These three have to stay up. And if for some reason none of these lights were on, there's a chance that someone's pulled the power or turned the power off. That's a little trickier. You basically just take your hand and you slide it back here and you reach down, and there's two little buttons that I can feel with my fingers. And if I turn them off, there's no lights. And if I put my fingers back there, flip them on, there's lights. Okay? So that's a little troubleshooting. Speaking of troubleshooting, if you have any problems with the room, just use the phone here and call extension 8080. It's the help desk. They're down on the 4th floor. And they can come up and help do some troubleshooting. If they can't figure it out, they'll probably call me. Or if there's something going wrong and you can't get a hold of them fast enough, I usually leave my business card with my cell phone number just right here. So, you know, don't call like crazy hours, but I usually try to help out when I can. That's pretty much the basics of the room. One other little fun feature is this microphone here. This is in case you're working with a partner and your partner is on the other side of the glass, maybe setting things up. If you want to speak to them, you can go over the loudspeaker. So I press this button and the whole room's going to hear me. Testing 1, 2, 3. So the whole room can hear that. So don't do that during a focus group because it'll be very disconcerting. But that's what the loudspeaker one is. This other microphone is actually slightly more advanced. This works with a wireless system and a little wireless earpiece. So what we do is if we use the wireless system, you borrow that from me. I have it in my office at the moment. And the moderator, puts the wireless piece on, puts in an earpiece, and then the people in this room can then use this on and off switch and talk to the person quietly in the other room. So if you want them to ask other questions or probe deeper on certain subjects that are coming up in the focus group room, you would sort of whisper in the ear of the moderator with the wireless earpiece. But that's a different system and a different lesson, so we'll talk about that another time. That's it for now. If you have any questions, you can email me at Satch, that's my nickname, SATCH, @emerson.edu, and I will try to get back to you.